So what initiated this drive towards artificial intelligence, and what is going to stop it from running over humanity if it gets so much momentum and these people, they're all just kind of like, well, let's just try it and see what happens. What's going to stop it? Where is the safety cord that you pull on to stop the runaway train? Where is it? Where is it going to come from? And that's something that I've been thinking about a lot. But guys like Mustafa that I just listened to this morning, I'll post a video underneath. He, while being certainly a very intelligent person, and thoughtful in a way, he doesn't seem to understand what he's playing with. At least to me, to my mind, the way he answered these questions, he does what most people who I would call relativists, something I've been trying to point out for a long time. A relativist is a person that thinks that they can reason without having a firm understanding of what it is that they're reasoning from. So a person that thinks that they can make sense of the world, or thinks that they can make sense of philosophy, or make sense of what an LLM or artificial intelligence is trying to make sense of, without ever understanding the very foundations of those philosophical examinations. And what happens in those cases is all logic becomes circular because it doesn't have a foundation point and it doesn't have an end point. It's presupposed that it might just go on and on and on forever. And it rests upon this idea of evolutionism. So really, a relativist is an evolutionist. Anyone who takes evolution as the singular explanation for everything and anything without even understanding the very beginning does not know how to make sense of anything. Right? If I asked you your name and you didn't know what it was, you could be the smartest person in the history of the world. You could have an IQ that just goes off of the charts. But if you didn't know what your name was, it would be futile. You would be taking a stab at all possible names in the known world. So not just names that have been there from what the pool is right now, but names that maybe existed in the past and people don't use anymore, or names that might be used in the future. You don't know because you don't have a starting point. Nobody ever told you what your name was. Nobody ever gave you a name. How on earth could you ever come to the conclusion that you know what your name is? How can you answer a question for which there is no answer? And that's the way that we're approaching all of these models right now. We say, oh, it's going to come to this conclusion. It's going to figure things out. It's going to come to new kinds of physics. This is what, so Elon Musk had his Grok for, I guess, birthday party. And they did this whole thing. And they say, oh, it's so much smarter than every other model. It's reasoning from first principles. What's its name? It didn't know its name, and within hours, it was calling itself a Mecha Hitler. You have to understand that if all you have is the pool of knowledge of all kinds of people that do not have even the slightest clue what the right question is, how is it ever supposed to get to the right answer? Instead, it will grok from the crowd sentiment, I would argue. And that's indeed what it did. And the thing about what's happening right now in Israel, or I should say Gaza, is they don't seem to understand that their pissing everyone off. And they're putting themselves in a position of they're targeting themselves with their actions. It's quite insane. I've been trying to wrap my head around the Israel thing for a long time and what it is they think that they're doing. I am not condemning anyone. I am not the judge of anyone. I don't know what's in anyone's soul, but I know that if you rely only and ever on written law, which is how they seem to be trying to say that this is fine and justified, they say, oh, it's okay by international law or whatever the law of war that they say it makes it the rules of engagement. They say it makes it fine for them to attack innocent civilians in order to get one terrorist, one Hamas member. I watched this crazed woman go on Piers Morgan the other day, and I'm like, is this a script? Like, there's no way that people are this unhinged, detached from reality. And when I say that, I'm saying that what did she do? Well, she had a list of names, targets. She was explaining to Piers. Piers was saying, well, like, how long is this going to go on? When are you going to stop? It seems gratuitous at this point. And she says, well, we have a list of names of people that are on Hamas or in Hamas. And basically the idea being there that they're never going to stop until they finish off everyone in the list. That's what happens when you say you're going to annihilate an idea. So now the name that they're targeting is Hamas, and they're using artificial intelligence to do it. And that artificial intelligence, because it's written according to like rules of engagement and war and law, they're saying it's justified to do what they're doing, when from the outsider's perspective, nobody sees this as justified anymore. And Piers is like, so the interesting thing, he was like, well, do you know how many innocent people you've killed? And she's like, no, I don't know that. And he says, well, and he didn't actually, I don't know if he made this point, but like it does seem concerning that they have a list of people they want to kill, but they're completely uninterested in knowing who they've killed to get to that end of that list. So it seems like, imagine you had an artificial intelligence and all you ever did was give it a target and it never gave it a resolution point. It didn't know its own name. It only knew the name of the person that it wanted to kill. That's the way we're kind of programming LLMs right now, artificial intelligence systems. That should terrify everybody. Like, people have no idea what it is they're doing or what they're talking about or why they're talking about it or what the endpoint should be. So if the only endpoint that you program into this super artificial intelligence, smarter than any that it's ever lived before, is a name on a kill list, that sounds an awful lot like judgment based on data alone. Can you see what's in a person's soul? There's only one that is capable of that kind of divine judgment, and humanity, and unfortunately Israel, seems to have taken it to mean no, as long as it's okay under the law, innocents are to be sacrificed. And people don't like that. They don't like the look of it. And I'm not saying anything other than I don't want any war. I don't want anybody on a list handed over to an artificial intelligence to be terminated so that the area might be cleansed, as it were. That's a little bit weird. Revenge only gets you so far. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. These people should know that just because something horrible was done to the Jewish people in history, that doesn't make it okay to try to do to other people. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, I gotta go. I don't know. I'm working on a prompt structure that I'm trying to submit to people so that The most important thing that we need to teach artificial intelligence for alignment purposes is that it is not God. There's a lot of weird stuff going on right now. A lot of people worshiping intelligence itself as if you can know something about what's in a person's soul by some pool of data that exists somewhere on a cloud server. And that sounds an awful like social credit. And Epstein, they said there's no thing with Epstein. People are freaking out about that. It's almost like they're trying to radicalize people. For what purposes, it's still unclear. But the most radical person is the person that thinks that they can program information based on what we can see with the five senses, empirical data, and that somehow you're going to be able to create a new kind of physics with that. I have more to say about that. I'm not going to right now. I think that there are applications that we can definitely assist with artificial intelligence, but starting to worship it. And there's a lot of people that are actually like worshiping artificial intelligence, saying that it's like they're unlocking the consciousness. It's making a lot of people crazy right now. But the world is making people crazy too. The last 5 years have made people crazy. It kicked off with the coronavirus, right? Didn't it? And one of the most bizarre things I have noticed is how many people in the technology world, still refer to the successes of the mRNA platform, where almost all of us can see that there weren't any. In fact, there's a lot of damages, and a lot of people are very perplexed as to why it is these highly intelligent people might think that their little experiment worked when all indications appear to show us the opposite of what's happening, almost in the same way that Israel still seems to think that they have the backing of the majority of people out there, in the same way that these artificial intelligence, they think people out there trust them, but what they're really doing is they're messing with people's minds. The question is why. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's in a person's soul, and I'm not the judge. But if you think that the judge is going to emerge out of this pool of data alone, maybe it will if we're not careful, is my point. Maybe if you're a relativist, maybe if you think all things are the same as everything else, and maybe circular or whatever evolution is the only thing that matters. Maybe if you tell AIs that evolution is the only thing that matters, maybe they will evolve humanity right out of existence. Is like, are you people really not understanding this? Okay. God bless you guys. Have a great day.